Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Very Cold Lasagna Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Lasagna, once again bringing you all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports for you sports fans out there like you and me. And I'm not sure if I should call this a shorty, an extra, half episode, full on episode, but no, we'll just go with the full on, I guess, short and hopefully short episode. This is episode number 310 anyway. Episode number 310 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And this episode is once again time for another edition of our red and gold weekly roundup of my San Francisco 49ers as they get ready to return from their lengthy bye week. Yes, we were one of the last teams from the set of teams to have the bye week as they get ready to take on the Tennessee Titans. As we get ready for the final four games of the 2025 regular season. So, yeah, that's pretty much basically what we're doing here in this episode. Previewing this upcoming game for the 49ers against the Titans. And, a little bit of news and notes that happened during the 49ers bye week. So, make sure you follow Very Cold Lasagna on social media at Very Cold Lasagna. And if you happen to be listening to this on audio, make sure to rate and review the show, whether it's on Apple or Spotify. Your feedback is appreciated. And if you're listening to this and watching this on YouTube, make sure to smash the subscribe button. And if you're not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Do it right now. Hit the notification bell as well so you'll be notified of new uploads. Hit the like button hit the comment section with your takes, your opinions on the topic at hand, that being my San Francisco 49ers and the preview to what is ahead in week number 15 and beyond with this particular game against the Tennessee Titans. And share this podcast with your friends, share this with your neighbors, share this with whoever is around you, whether it's a colleague at school, at work, or maybe some passerby around you. Share the good, the bad, the ugly about Very Cold Lasagna, this icy yet spicy casual podcast. So let's get into our week in review for my San Francisco 49ers. Not really too much around my team in the last week. The last time they were in action, which was almost 2 weeks ago against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. That was week number 13. After a 10-8 halftime lead, the Niners ran away with a 26-8 win, scoring 16 unanswered points, where they took advantage of the Browns' various mishaps in the second half. Brock Purdy threw for 2 touchdowns. He threw 1 touchdown and ran for 1 touchdown in the second half. And the defense really hammered home hard on Shadir Sanders and Quinshon Judkins for that 26-8 win. So a nice business trip to Cleveland heading into the bye week. Yes, like I said at the top of the show, a very late bye week alongside 3 other teams. But it was a much needed bye week because obviously with how the season has been so far, injury mania just running wild, especially on the defensive side of the ball where we pretty much lost 3 key starters in the rookie Mykel Williams, Fred Warner, our all-pro linebacker, and our all-pro edge rusher Nick Bosa. So, yeah, the injuries all around have been like severely deflating, but we push forward. And I'm surprised with how the Niners have been this season. For as much as I criticize, praise, all the neutral feelings with this team, they are 9-4. They are still fighting hard, and I commend them. I don't want to say condemn. Commend. That's the right word for it. Commend them for that and showing a lot of grit, in spite of all the injuries running wild with this team. And I'll commend a little bit with Kyle Shanahan and how he's running this team right now, even with all the adversity with these injuries. So. Good for him as we head into the final stretch of these games and trying to gear up for an improbable playoff run. So before we look at what's ahead with this game against the Tennessee Titans in week number 15, this coming up real soon, there were a little bit things during the bye week. Obviously, the Niner fans were watching, hate watching, bird watching, vulture watching the other teams that were playing, mainly because the playoff race really began to heat up with the second most important time of the NFL year. And that is obviously the final race to the playoffs for a lot of these teams, or in most cases for some teams, the race to Cancun. But for the 49ers, they were keeping track on certain games because it would affect their standings in the playoff race, because going into week number 14, they were the 7th seed, and going into a certain game, which was the Bears and the Packers, regardless of that result, they were going to move up to the 6th seed. And well, the Packers beat the Bears. So the Bears have moved into the 49ers spot, which was the 7th seed. And now, the Niners are the 6th seed as a result. Now, they could have moved all the way up to the number 2 seed, but unfortunately, the Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals just sucked way too hard that they didn't help them out against the Seahawks and the Rams. So, unfortunate stuff, but there's still opportunity to be had in a tight NFC West race, surprisingly, that the 49ers are in, despite what has happened almost a month ago against the rematch against the Rams. So, either way, I mean, the Niners are, surprisingly still in this playoff race. Surprisingly still in this NFC West race too, with 4 games to go. Again, there's still plenty of things to work on, though. And then during the bye week, they signed a former Patriots 4th-round pick, Javon Baker. He's a receiver. He was signed to the practice squad. Although, when you look at a little bit of his highlight reel on Twitter or YouTube, he wasn't exactly the great prospect for the Patriots when he was briefly with Gerard Mayo in his regime. So, I don't know, maybe he gets second life with the 49ers whenever they need a receiver on game days. So, I don't know. Meanwhile, during the bye week as well, you even had the usual questions about Brandon Ayuk again from the 49er media for God knows what reason. And Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in separate interviews continue to imply that Brandon Ayuk is not returning this season or ever for the 49ers. Because, well, basically, which was basically already public knowledge that Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers were already going to divorce after the season. So, I mean, it's a question that gets asked almost every day by the 49er media, where the media or, the media reporters that actually ask the hard questions on the 49ers. The actual local media ask the hard answers on questions on the 49ers. So, yeah, this was basically public knowledge that the Niners in Ayuk were heading toward divorce. So I guess it's just Shanahan and John Lynch just playing PR speak that Ayuk is basically gone. So yeah, that's basically it. Other than that, it's a relatively quiet bye week for the 49ers, and rightfully so. They earned their break after 13 weeks of injury mania, running wild, but still, they actually, unlike the last 2 of 3 years, 4 years of dealing with injury mania running wild on them, they've actually managed to deal with such adversity. They managed to weather the storm a little bit, even with losing 3 of their key starters. And probably more that I probably forgot. So, yeah, there's that. And now they prepare for the first of Final Four games if they want to make a playoff spot. And that starts with their Week 15 matchup at home against the Tennessee Titans, the now 2-11 Tennessee Titans. So when you look at the Tennessee Titans, when going into their Week 14 matchup against the Cleveland Browns, yes, our previous opponent in the Browns in Cleveland, in what was basically a tank bowl between both of these teams in the land of the skid marks, the Titans actually played one of, if not their best game of the season, with an effective 2-touchdown game each from both Cam Ward and Tony Pollard, the running back, to pry a close win from the Browns, 31-29. Of course, though, with them previously being 1-11, the only one team win previously at the time last week, it does come at the price of their draft standing. They initially held the first overall pick in the NFL draft. As I mentioned in the last episode of the general week in review from week 14. Obviously, when you have two teams playing with these kind of lowly records, somebody had to win. Somebody had to win. Somebody had to out tank the other, and it just so happened to be the skid marks. The skid marks out tanked the Titans. And if you don't know what I mean, go after this watch of this episode, go check out the previous. Go back and listen to the previous episode where I talked about the Titans and the Browns game, and you'll know what I mean. So here the Titans are. They sit at 2-11, and they affected their draft standing. But when it comes to this game against the 49ers, they're clearly a poor team all around. They don't have a lot of talent around them. They're on all fronts. They're a rebuilding team that's pretty much stuck in neutral. Like I said, severely lacking talent across the board, and they are very, very poorly coached. Other than I guess last week, and their initial coach Brian Callahan was fired well early in the season, and his interim coach Mike McCoy, he hasn't been doing much better, other than the one win last week. Rookie quarterback and first overall pick Cam Ward, he's had his rookie mishaps, but it doesn't help that his supporting cast is not helping his development. You don't have a great offensive line. His receiving core and tight end and running backs are not great. Outside of maybe other fellow rookie Alec Ayumainer and running back Tony Pollard on some occasions. But other than that, not really much to help in Cam Ward's development. So it goes. It's an indictment to how the general manager for the Titans has surrounded Cam Ward. Now, initially, I thought they did okay. I thought they did decent. In surrounding him with a good offensive line, but no, that didn't turn out to be the case. But one of the very few silver linings for the Titans this season was their front four, their pass rush led by Jeffrey Simmons, their defensive tackle, and yeah, that's pretty much been one of if not the only real lifeline for this team, because even L'Jarius Sneed and Olu Wafeme Oladejo are on IR currently, but you still look at this team. And they're heading towards an offseason where plenty of changes and additions they need to be had. Like I said, they're a team across the board heading to I don't know what kind of rebuild that they're having right now. Are they heading to a never-ending rebuild, or are they heading towards a rebuild where they hope to get better across the board in order to help Cam Ward's development into the quarterback that he's supposed to be when he got out of college, when they drafted him. So, yeah, the Titans have to figure something out. And hopefully in these final four games that they play, starting with the 49ers, they have to find something positive to end the season. So looking at the players to watch for both of these teams going into this game. For the Tennessee Titans, obviously, Cam Ward, he has shown flashes for how good he can be and why the Titans drafted him. He has a nice mid-range to deep ball passing ability, as well as some decent checkdowns, and he can run with the football. But the problem is, like I said, as I talked about it plenty of times, he's had plenty of rookie mistakes throughout this season, but the lack of a supporting cast, like a real supporting cast, is not helping his development. His two head coaches are not helping him. So, as I mentioned plenty of times, throughout this episode, he is not getting any help at all. Running back Tony Pollard. Pollard has shared the backfield with Tajay Spears for much of the season, and only last week he has had one of his better games, if not his best game all year. Still, with how weak the 49ers run defense is, this is not a player to overlook, given how he did last week, even if it was against the skid marks. So this is a game where Tony Pollard can also really shine against this weak 49ers run defense, even though like 2 weeks ago, that Niners run defense eventually clamped onto Quidshawn Junkins later in the game. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, obviously all eyes will again be towards Brock Purdy, who is still playing with that turf toe. But still, following a 3-turnover game against the Panthers, he did much better in Cleveland before the bye, made smarter passes, and more importantly, didn't turn over the ball. He threw and ran for a touchdown in the cold weather of Cleveland to lead that 26-8 victory. And yeah, he's now 3 games back and headed in before the bye week, and he had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. He'll need to repeat this kind of performance against a much, at least on paper, much worse Titans team. And then you have the defense, the overall defense. The Titans may suck on all fronts, and I talk about this Titans team pretty much all season. But they are coming off one of their better games against the Cleveland skid marks. Tony Pollard ran over all over that Browns run defense, led by Myles Garrett, and Ward had his moments pushing the ball downfield. For 49ers fans that are not familiar with the Titans, and I kind of don't blame you because you know how poor they have been. Check out their flashes. Check out their they have had some like a very few positive games against the Houston Texans in their second game, and especially trying to come back against the Seattle Seahawks a few weeks ago. And the Titans offense, if the 49ers really downplay them like Houston and Seattle did in those 2 games a few weeks ago, they can make you nervous as a watcher. And especially, like I said, if the 49ers downplayed them going into this one. So looking at the injury report for both teams, not much to report for the Titans because, yeah, for as bad as they have been good in staying healthy, at least when it comes to on a week-to-week basis, not in terms of, having players on IR other than L'Jarius Sneed and Calvin Ridley. So, yeah. And, Calvin Ridley being out, too, is not helping Cam Ward's development. So I would like to mention that. Starting center Lloyd Cushenberry, he's back at practice on a limited basis after missing some games with the foot injury. So if Cushenberry is back in the lineup this Sunday, that would be nice for the offensive line. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, there was some good and bad news on their front. Ben Barch, one of the guards, he was placed on season-ending IR, which is kind of a hit to the offensive line and their ongoing shitty rotation. So yeah, he was placed on IR with a foot sprain that he had in the Browns game 2 weeks ago. Kyle Juszczyk suffered fractured ribs in that same game, but he still managed to practice this past week. Now it remains to be determined if he'll play this game against Tennessee. Linebacker Nick Martin was in the concussion protocol following the Browns game, but he remained there post bye week, so we'll remain to be seen if he is able to go and get cleared. Other linebacker Tatum Batoon and Sam Okiwanku, the edge rusher, they're not practicing quite yet after the bye week with ankle injuries, so hopefully they'll be back at practice at the time of this recording. Yuder Grossmanos, the edge rusher, his practice window from injured reserve was open. He has missed 4 games with the, I think it was like an ankle injury or a high ankle injury, if I remember correctly, but someone can correct me on that. But either way, having Yuder Grossmanos back is a big need for the pass rush right now and the run defense, so that'll be good to have. Kicker Eddie Pinheiro is back on track to return from the hamstring injury suffered in week 11 against Arizona. So he missed Carolina and Cleveland, and that's good news for Pinheiro, just as long as he's healthy and he's good in making kicks again. I think it'll be fine. Matt Gay was good in his absence, but unfortunately, to make room for his return, Matt Gay was released. But he did fine in Pinero's absence. 6th-round rookie, and I honestly forgot that he was even on the roster. Curtis Rook. Yeah, the quarterback that the 49ers for some reason drafted back in April. Curtis Rook had his practice window open, but I honestly don't expect him to play. He is just mainly there to get very early reps, very like just there to practice for next season. So, I mean, whatever helps. Rook was like when they drafted him, I think he had like a torn ACL and multiple injuries to his leg. So, yeah, he was on the injury reserve for a very long time, and now here he is, finally cleared to practice, and whatever helps him, I guess. So the keys to victory for both of these teams, for the Tennessee Titans, for as bad as they are, like you can't overlook them. So for the Titans side of things, you got to utilize Tony Pollard against this 49ers run defense that is very on and off. Pollard surprisingly did well, like I said, against Myles Garrett and that tough Browns front four. And he could be in for another big game if the Niners run defense gets off to another slow start and some of the remaining key pieces are not ready to play yet off of injury. Mike McCoy should take and ride the wave of Pollard's hot game last week against Cleveland in order to ease some pressure off of Cam Ward. So why not continue to ride the hot wave from Tony Pollard? And then defensively, Jeffrey Simmons, he has been a good run stopper and interior pass rusher for Tennessee. And I believe he can harass the 49ers offense in both ways, especially inside. This is via limiting Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson Jr. Inside when they do the inside runs and breaking through the interior of that 49ers offensive line, which still sucks, by the way, and get to Brock Purdy in the hurry. So, yeah, that 49er offensive line, especially in the interior, can't hold up. This could be a good day for Jeffrey Simmons. For my San Francisco 49ers, like, I don't have anything specific for both sides, like whether it's with Purdy, Kittle, Pearsall, Christian McCaffrey, or like anything like defensively with like secondary and all that stuff. It's just simple. It's like a keep it simple, stupid approach. Do not downplay this lowly Tennessee Titans team. They're coming like the Niners and the Titans the Niners specifically. They're coming off playing one poor team in the skid marks 2 weeks ago before the bye week. And with how they played in the second half against that skid marks team, they need to play how they did in the second half of that game against an on paper much worse team than the skid marks. So they got to carry that momentum from 2 weeks ago, fresh off of a bye week, mind you. They had 2 weeks to prepare for this game and blow the brakes out against the Titans. If they somehow make this a close game, then conversations need to be had. Brock Purdy needs to continue to shake off rust and minimize mistakes, but also spread the ball around, like to the likes of Ricky Pearsall. I like to see him more involved. I'm not sure why he's not. I also like to see Kendrick Bourne involved again. Of course, alongside with the other regulars like Kittle and McCaffrey. But defensively, the defense needs to get to Cam Ward faster, and they got to limit Tony Pollard in the run, in the pass game. And if they don't do that, then this game's going to be closer than expected. And it shouldn't because, well, again, with the Titans, this is a very talent-deficient team, especially offensively, that for as injured as the Niners are right now, they could still run away with this game like they did against the skid marks. So if they can't do that, then questions really need to be had about this team going into the final stretch of the season, because this is pretty much, other than I think slightly the Colts game the following week, this is their last easy, quote unquote, easy opponent, because no opponent is easy to say, but yeah, this Titans team, you can't downplay them. Like, you can't downplay this Titans team. Like, you got to beat them regardless of the record. So, it's good to see some Niners football back this week. Finally, got a little bit of a break. And now we head into the final stretch of the season. Can the Niners make a run to one of the wild card spots? Maybe increase their standings and even towards the NFC West? We shall see. That begins this coming week in Week 15 against the Tennessee Titans. We get some 49ers football back, and hopefully it'll be at least some good 49ers football. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on week number 15 for the 49ers taking on the Titans. Whether it's in the comments on YouTube or slide into the DMs on my socials at Very Cold Lasagna on Twitter or Instagram with your takes on this upcoming matchup between the Niners and the Titans. Man, I thought this would be a little bit shorty, but that's a good thing. It wasn't. But that's good stuff, pal. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna, episode number 310 of this icy yet spicy podcast. I have been your host, Dylan Lasagna. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. And until the next one, when we talk about the week that was week number 15 in the NFL and my San Francisco 49ers, when hopefully they beat the Titans. Or if they don't, questions will be need to had. But until that next time comes, next week, when we talk about both of those things, peace out.